a West Bengal audience? How do you try and go beyond a West Bengal audience to find an Indian and a global audience? The kind of I'm guessing a love-hate relationship with that because it dominates, but you still kind of need to co-opt or feel the need to co-opt. There's Anindra on the audience who can also Chorki. So streaming sites here, streaming sites in Bangladesh. What do you get out of each? Can you tell us a little about that? That's really precious because we will also get lesson how we can. We are also looking at everyone's looking at dreaming of a global audience. So your challenge is more intense.
Yeah, true. Um, well, I mean, if I talk about Bangladeshi OTT space, I think Chorki, who produced my film, not just because they produced my film, but it's a fact you have been following their productions. They're doing amazing stuffs, as in they are doing really original stuffs. I mean, for OTT, you have Netflix, which is mostly Netflix India actually. In Bangladesh, I mean, Bangladeshi people consume Netflix Indian content more than Netflix America, I'm sure. And then you have Amazon Prime, Sony Live, many other big players. So where does this Bangladeshi OTT place them? And I think Chorki found the right space. Chorki looked for original Bangladeshi stars, which you'll never find in Netflix, Amazon Prime, Sony Live. No. I mean, the Bangladeshi humor that we can do, you'll not find it on Netflix. So Chorki wanted to tap into that uniqueness. I'm not a Chorki guy, but this is what I could feel from seeing their programming. And also, I've been talking to them because I've been producing this 12 films anthology, as you know, Ministry of Love. We decided to make 12 films that deals more or less with love because in Bangladesh it's not a great time to tell any other stories. But then again, like my something like an autobiography is part of Ministry of Love, but in day before yesterday's Q&A, one girl asked me this question. Well, this seems to be a love story, but to me, this is a political story. Then I said, oh, love is political. That's why. It's simple. So I think Chorki or whoever Bengali speaking OTTs, they are trying to actually tap into that unique Bangla thing. Because, there are about 30 crore Bengali speaking people all over the world, in America, in Canada, Australia. So I am sure Chorki or Hoichoi from this part of India, they are trying to tap into this audience. And if you can really go to your audience with your story, even if that audience, see, the beauty of OTT is they can watch Shah Rukh Khan today, and next morning they can watch your story. And what they will get from your story, if it is original, authentic, then they will not get it in Shah Rukh Khan's film. You know what I mean? So I think this is where we have to tap into. And as for the filmmakers, I'm still a young filmmaker. I don't know why Meenakshi is saying, give advice to the younger filmmakers.
I meant you are nurturing. You are nurturing
Yeah.
so many with you. That
So,
only in the creative sense.
so yeah. So, yeah, I think that's the only thing that tell your story that they will not find in anybody else's film. And that's the only way you can go for
A
it.
little bit about how there has been this quite some decades of collaboration between West Bengal and Bangladesh, and a lot of co-productions. But I'm not really sure they benefit Bangladesh as much as they benefit West Bengal producers, audiences, whatever. Can you tell us? This is also for our neighboring who tried in their own way to find collaboration across the border in that immediate state. Or tell us a little bit about that, how that works for you or against you.
Strangely, co-production between Bangladesh and West Bengal did not work well. Somehow, if you set a story in Bangladesh, and if Bangladeshi people start calling a character like Kala, the West Bengal people cannot connect because they call it Pishi. And same happens with West Bengal story. If you set a story in West Bengal, a new film with big stars, if you release it in Bangladesh, they can't relate because who's Pishi? You know what I mean? So this is a cultural thing that we have between us. I don't know how to go beyond this. Um, Maybe one way would be like don't try to actually sell West Bengal story to Bangladesh or Bangladeshi story to West Bengal. Make Bangladeshi story for Bangladeshi audience, but of course these days like we watch Korean content, right? I'm sure in yesterday, day before yesterday's year, I saw many people who watched my films. I don't know how. So which means that I mean these days you can really go beyond your border. But if we as a filmmaker have to think too much about how can I tap into West Bengal audience, then I think we are going to make mistakes. Then my film will not be my film. So that's the problem. Yeah. Let's see where it goes.
This also, I just wanted to just underline that the South Asian market, I feel, is hugely, hugely, hugely untapped, undeveloped. It's like it's 25% of the world's population. 25% of the world's population is a hell of a lot. Also, locally, but also diaspora is massive, and it's largely untapped because I think we don't, in our heads, we don't see ourselves as South Asians. We are Indian, or we are Bangla, or we are Assamese, or we are Tamilians. That also affects me deeply in programming because we never see ourselves as a larger audience and a region that is ours, right? It's them, it's them, it's layers of separation. Those 6 degrees never seem to go away. But even as a programmer, I'm always a South Asian. I've never seen myself as an Indian because there's such richness in our subcontinent. It's really a very deeply shared culture, right? Shared values, shared many things. Please.
We need to use this phrase more and more and
Yes,
more.
yes. We have to see it.
But Manakshi, may I say
Yes.
something? By and large, our masses, they are not interested in consuming other cultures. They're not interested. A Punjabi will not watch a Tamilian film. A Tamilian will not watch a Odia film or a Bengali film. We are only talking about a very niche audience, who are interested in cinema or whether academically or culturally, who consume art. But our masses are simply not interested, in within in India, we don't see any kind of cross interest in other cultures, in watching cinema or even literature. Literature, of course, one can only access through translation. The other problem is, people don't watch films with subtitles. They can't watch films with subtitles. So there is the limitation, and we have to work with those limitations. And in fact, there's nothing like, there is a Bollywood cinema which I can say perhaps, is a kind of, it's a cultural industry, which is consumed by and large by the entire nation and also by the neighboring states. But when it comes to regional cinema, it's regional cinema. All regional cinemas are like cultural industries within their own region. They don't impact other regions. So I don't know how we can cross this, make other people from different regions interested in different. In Europe, I don't think perhaps that's as big a challenge as it is with us.
That's true. It's very, very uniquely, yeah. I'll just share a tiny insight just that comes from programming and just being lucky enough to work with Berlin. So this finding audiences for independent cinema is a challenge worldwide, no question about it. But one of the lovely things about Berlin, which I so deeply appreciate, it's one of the very few A-list festivals in the world that actually has a section called Generation for children and young adults as part of its official selection. They're not some bacha section in some corner, some country cousin. Yeah, okay, something also for the bachas. It's part of official selection. And I love the reasoning why they say these are our audiences of tomorrow. And this is how they treat them, yeah? So this is something we don't really think of it as that. It's still Tamil versus Punjabi versus Assam or Shed Dukpan in Arunachal. It's because our cultures are so region specific. So what they do is, because of course kids can't read subtitles, they have an extraordinary system for live dubbing while the film is on. Because kids are only going to understand German, by and large, the kids that come. And they have like school kids and a lot of it, highly organized. It's always house full. You have to beg for seats because you will have a good house. And they have an extraordinary skill in one person actually having, dubbing the voices of all the characters in this film because you can't have 20 people dubbing. It's happening live. So this, this emotional connect is really quite extraordinary. And really the attitude of seeing children as audiences for the future, investing in them and giving them good taste. So I'd like to ask Prasanna Vithanagi to please share what you feel is a way forward for coming from a small audience.
I think
yeah.
Deepti gave you a signal. It's time to close.
Last one.
So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
So,
Your last insight. Yeah.
so I'll try to make in one sentence.
Please. Yeah.
Okay. So, advice or suggestion to young filmmakers or even aging filmmakers, you have to ask from yourself whether for filmmaking, whether it's the supreme thing in your life. the most important thing in life. Otherwise, don't do it.
Navin, their last words of advice for young filmmakers?
Okay, what I find is if you tell story more local, it it goes global. So yeah.
Thank you very, very much for being a great panel. And Gurumita, any last words?
For young
Famous last
filmmakers, practice
Yeah, yeah.
and practice and don't watch too many films.
That's wonderful.
Don't, please. Don't consume. Become the creator.
Wonderful. That's a fabulous note to end on. Thank you very much for a great panel. Yeah, please.
We did mention that Mr. Anand Patwardhan and Nishtha Jain are not here, but there's also one amazing filmmaker who was actually there two, but one in our program who does not travel much to film festivals, but we have a wonderful collection of short films. And because of the lack of funding, he's actually turned to animation and animated shots. And his name is Amit Datta. And we have a selection of his films in South Asia Icons. And Gurvinder knows him really well. I mean, a lot of, they've been together at FTI as well. So while you're watching their films, do watch Amit Datta. And we also have in our presence another South Asia icon who's joined in the audience. Paban is here with us. And
Please stand up.
Paban, I think all of us know us. He's also, apart from